From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your afternoon update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Well, it's shaping up to be another summer day. Of course, temperatures are right around normal for this time of the year, maybe just slightly above that. Still not out of the question, I think, for some of us to maybe touch 100 degrees in the valley. But overall, we're going to keep those temperatures below 100, mid to upper 90s in the valley. Of course, a bit cooler up in the higher elevations. So we're going to be looking at no major heat waves in sight. In fact, we've got a big cool down coming in later this week, which we'll get into here in a second. And with that cool down, we're talking about the potential for showers by the end of the week and this upcoming weekend, and even the valley could get some of that action as well. We'll certainly take that rain. But before we get to that, let's talk about the smoke. Of course, we saw some of that haze and smoke this morning, especially for the north end of the valley here. Could even smell some of that smoke. And we're beginning to, of course, feel the impacts of that from the Smith River Complex and some of the other fires off to the north and west. So essentially what's happening is those smoke kind of pushes to the east overnight, and then it kind of drifts southward into the overnight and early morning hours. And that's the reason why we're seeing some of that smoke. So here's what it looks like today at around noon. We're seeing some of the yellow, and that's where we start to see at least a little bit more of that noticeable haze, maybe even a little bit of that faint smell of smoke in the air as well. Then as we go into tonight, we start to see kind of another plume of smoke come in. Now this is tonight at 11 o'clock. And then we'll see kind of another round of smoke and haze kind of push southward. Now, it looks like by tomorrow morning it may not be as bad, but I think especially the north end of the valley could still be experiencing some of that smoke in the early morning hours. And by the way, that smoke is pushing eastward even into Modoc County, but it doesn't seem to be quite as bad as you head south into the eastern mountains. So hour by hour for the valley, we've got the sunny skies, temperatures in the upper 90s. As I mentioned, you know, we're getting close to 100. So some of us could quite possibly see 100 degrees in the valley today. And for the mountains, there you can see, you know, especially up from the Siskiyou and Modoc County, we're looking at temperatures mainly, it looks like in the upper 80s and low 90s. And then as we go into the eastern mountains, looking at those temperatures in the upper 80s, low 90s as well. So here's your satellite image here. And what you're seeing here is an area of low pressure. This will eventually kind of kick off to the east. But what we've got my eyes on here is another area of low pressure right here. That'll push to the east and then eventually break off and then come into Northern California. So it's not necessarily this area of low pressure that will give us that big drop I was talking about, but it's this right up here. So watch what happens. We're going to see this cooler air kind of push down to the south and east and then kind of break off and then come down over Northern California. Now that's Friday. So we're going to keep our temperatures fairly warm through Thursday. Then by Friday, this cooler air comes down. Now, what will happen is, as we get to the second half of the weekend, it'll kind of push off to the east and kind of dissipate and moderate, and no longer really a cool pocket of cooler air. And in the meantime, we've got some more heat over the desert southwest. So we'll see that nice little dip in the temperatures. And even though going into next week, temperatures will increase, it's not going to be a major increase. We're still going to be below normal with upper 80s and low 90s for the valley. All right, let's take a look at Futurecast, and we're talking about the potential for rain with that cool down as well. Now, Thursday, the clouds move in, but the rain mainly still off to our north and west. Now, check this out. As we go into Friday, we're actually seeing some of that rain in the valley. Now, as of right now, most of the long-range forecast models are keeping Chico dry. That being said, I'm still going to keep that chance in there for Chico because I think everyone could be looking at the potential for rain. Now, at this point, can't really say that there's going to be a lot of rain. And I would say, and I'd venture to guess at this point that most likely it's not going to be a ton of rain. It's pretty typical this time of the year for us to really see a lot of rain out of this. Or not for us to not see a lot of rain, that is. As we go into Saturday, you see how it's mainly in the mountains. And then Sunday, this particular model dries us out, but there are other long-range forecast models that keep the chance for showers there for Sunday. So I'm going to keep it in the long range as well. And then as we go into Monday into next week, things should start to dry out again. All right, so here's what we have in store for us today. These temperatures are getting on the warm side, mid to upper 90s in the valley, upper 80s, low 90s. There you can see some of the haze and smoke. You saw that on the smoke forecast too, how it's kind of pushing eastward. So I expect mainly sunny skies here for the eastern mountains, not to mention the valley as well. So looking at your 7-day outlook, we're going to start introducing some rain in there and cooler temperatures. Haze and smoke, Mount Shasta, El Turris, again, to be expected. We've seen that. As we go through Thursday, it's still dry, but look at the temperatures dropping down, low 70s by Friday and Saturday. There, of course, is the off and on chance for rain for Friday through the weekend for pretty much everyone in the mountains. We take a look at the valley, still pretty warm, but a nice dip in those temperatures, low 80s by Friday. And of course, you've also got the chance for showers in there. Now, for now, I've got Saturday and Sunday dry. There are some indications that we could maybe see some shower activity, even for the valley over parts of the weekend. But for now, I'm just going to keep that chance in there for Friday, drying out but staying cool over the weekend with highs in the low 80s.